Imagine 1861. In the middle of the British throne's flourishing era, Queen Victoria suddenly becomes a widow. Prince Albert's death is not just a personal tragedy, it forever changes the fashion and culture of an entire era. The colour black, which until then appeared only in the most serious mourning, suddenly becomes an everyday reality for all layers of society. This story, however, is not just about grief. This story is about how the most diverse natural treasures like fossilized wood, volcanic glass, bog oak and early plastics become expressions of human emotions. How the colour black becomes not only the colour of mourning, but also of hope, remembrance and love. Today we travel back together to the workshops of Victorian jewellers to learn about the special materials that made up the world of mourning jewellery. We'll learn to recognise them, understand their properties, and discover that behind each material lies a fascinating story. Black has always been more than just a colour. In the Victorian era, mourning followed strict rules. Widows wore black for years, and their jewellery had to adapt to this sombre elegance. But mourning jewellery was never just decorative. These small black treasures held memories, strands of hair, photos, engraved names. The choice of each material was both an aesthetic and a deeply emotional decision. The challenge facing jewellers was huge: how to create jewellery that met the strict rules of mourning and still remained beautiful. The answer lay in the wonderful interplay of nature and human ingenuity. Let's begin our journey with the noblest material of Victorian mourning jewellery, jet. Millions of years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, huge pine forests covered northern England. These trees, through a mysterious process, ended up deep in the sea, where they slowly fossilized under immense pressure in an oxygen-free environment. Jet has a magical charm. When we hold it, it's surprisingly light, almost floating between our fingers. Its surface is deeply black, with a silky sheen. If you rub it with a wool cloth, it becomes electrostatically charged and attracts small pieces of paper. This property is similar to what the Greeks observed with amber, the electron, in ancient times, and from which our word electricity comes. The Whitby coastline became the centre of the jet empire. This Yorkshire coastal town transformed almost overnight into a mecca of jewellery making in the 19th century. Generations of local artisans learned the delicate art of jet, how to file, carve and polish this special material so that each piece was born as a unique masterpiece. Queen Victoria herself was an avid collector of jet jewellery. She amassed a huge collection in her palace, and by her personal example, she made this material fashionable. Jet thus became not only mourning jewellery, but also a status symbol. Whoever wore it expressed both their grief and their social position. But the expense of jet soon became a problem. So how did members of the middle class get access to this black elegance? The answer lay in another natural wonder: bog oak. In the boggy regions of Ireland, where winds have swept over the peat fields for millennia, special treasures lie hidden. The story of bog oak is quite different from that of jet. It is not a fossil, but oak wood that has lain for millennia in the oxygen-poor acidic waters of bogs. The iron-rich minerals in the soil slowly seeped into the wood's tissues, giving it a beautiful, warm, brownish-black colour. The feel of bog oak is quite different from jet. It gives a warmer, softer feeling, as if the memories of nature reside within it. Irish jewellers recognised the special beauty of this material and adorned it with traditional Celtic motifs. Endless loops, triangular knots and stylised plant patterns were placed on brooches and pendants. Wearing bog oak jewellery thus signified not only mourning, but also national pride. The Irish, who had fought for centuries for their independence, found a way in this material to express both their grief and their identity. Every bog oak piece of jewellery was a small piece of Ireland's soul. While nature created jet over millions of years and bog oak over millennia, the impatience and ingenuity of Victorian man sought new paths. In the Malaysian jungles grew a special tree, the palaquium gutta, whose milky latex, when solidified, turned into a hard black material. This was gutta-percha, the first plastic of the Victorian era. Gutta-percha opened up revolutionary new possibilities. When warm, it was soft and easily molded, but when cooled, it became hard and durable. Jewelers could work with it in molds, creating intricate reliefs and decorations that were previously only achievable with immense manual labor. Suddenly, all kinds of Victorian motifs, be they flowers, leaves, portraits, or miniature versions of tombstones, could be mass-produced. Gutta-percha democratized the world of mourning jewelry. An average housewife now had the opportunity to wear elegant mourning jewelry without spending her family's entire fortune on it. These jewels, though they didn't have the prestige of jet, carried the same emotional message. Nature, however, does not only create wonders over millions of years. When volcanoes erupt and hot lava meets cold water, obsidian is born. Natural volcanic glass, as black as the depth of night and as shiny as a mirror's surface. Its rarity made obsidian special in the world of Victorian mourning jewelry. Its touch is cold and slippery, as if holding a piece of ice. Due to its fragility, jewelers worked with it with extreme caution. One wrong move, and the whole piece shattered. But when it was successfully worked, the result was breathtaking. A black brilliance deeper and more sparkling than any other material. Human ingenuity, however, did not stop at natural materials. The 19th century Industrial Revolution brought new materials into the world. Ebonite, made from vulcanized rubber, represented another step towards democratizing mourning jewelry. It was harder than gutta-percha, more durable and shinier. It didn't soften in heat, didn't crack as easily, and allowed for even finer details. Ebonite jewelry became especially popular among the middle class. From then on, ordinary people could wear jewelry that at first glance might even look like jet, but was available at a fraction of the price. The material's smooth, shiny surface perfectly imitated the more expensive natural materials. Of course, the wealthy didn't give up on extravagance. Where they truly wanted to show the elegance of mourning and the family's wealth, black enamel and special black glass came to the forefront. These materials were often combined with gold, diamonds, or pearls to create jewelry that was both somber and magnificent. Black enamel was especially suitable for intricate details. From framing miniature portraits to decorating hair lockets, it found its place in every area. Despite its rigid feel and fragile nature, it lent timeless beauty to the jewelry. But perhaps it was onyx that most perfectly embodied the spirit of Victorian mourning jewelry. This special rock, which is actually microcrystalline quartz, became a symbol of eternal mourning due to its natural blackness and durability. Its cold touch and glassy luster created a serious, majestic impression. The specialty of onyx was that it was often banded, black and white layers alternated. Jewelers took advantage of this property when carving cameos from it. They highlighted the portrait shape from the white layer, while it disappeared into the black background. This is how those stunning black and white cameos were born, which were both mourning jewelry and works of art. Now that we've learned about these wonderful materials, let's see how to distinguish them when we encounter an antique piece of jewelry. Identifying jet is relatively simple. Pick up the jewelry. If it's surprisingly light, warms to the touch, and attracts pieces of paper when rubbed with wool, then you're likely dealing with jet. Its surface has a silky sheen, not glassy. If you run your finger over it, it feels soft and warm. Bog oak is similarly light but duller, less shiny. Its color is more brownish-black, not as deep as jet. Its feel is also warm, but faint lines of the original wood grain are often visible on it. If you look closely, you can sometimes even discover the original tree's growth rings within it. Identifying obsidian is simple. It's cold as ice and shiny as a mirror. If you hold it up to the light, it behaves almost like glass. Its fracture surfaces are sharp, shell-shaped, typical of volcanic glass. Onyx also feels cold to the touch. But it's harder than obsidian. It's also heavier, and when light reflects off its polished surface, it gives a glassy yet stone-like sparkle. If it's banded onyx, the layers are clearly separated from each other. Distinguishing gutta-percha and ebonite is trickier. Both are light, but gutta-percha softens slightly with warmth, while ebonite remains hard. Ebonite is generally shinier, with a more uniform black color. Gutta-percha often shows small cracks or signs of wear, while ebonite holds its shape better. These materials differed not only in their technical properties, but also in their social message. The wearer of jet clearly communicated. They could afford the best, and their grief was so deep that only the noblest material could express it fittingly. The wearer of bog oak was proud of their Irish heritage and in their mourning expressed their national identity. Those who wore gutta-percha or ebonite jewellery were more practical. They respected the traditions of mourning, but didn't want to financially ruin themselves. They were the ones who realized that the depth of sorrow is not determined by the price of the material, but by the feelings in the heart. One of the most touching aspects of Victorian mourning jewellery was how it combined functionality and beauty. A jet locket held a lock of hair from a departed loved one. A bog oak brooch contained a hidden compartment with a photo. An onyx ring had a name engraved on it. These jewels were living memories, allowing the grieving person to carry a piece of their beloved deceased with them. The choice of materials often hides personal stories. A Scottish woman might have chosen jet because her husband's ship sailed off the coast of Yorkshire. An Irish family passed down bog oak jewellery from generation to generation, which was both mourning jewellery and a family heirloom. A London merchant's wife chose gutta-percha for practical reasons, but wore it with the same respect as if it were the most expensive jet. The special thing about the Victorian era was that technological progress and traditional craftsmanship met in harmony. While machine-moulded gutta-percha jewellery appeared in stores in large quantities, the masters of Whitby continued to hand-carve each piece of jet. The Industrial Revolution did not destroy tradition, but created new opportunities alongside it. The working of materials was also a special art. Carving jet required patience and skill. Working too vigorously would break it, but too gently, it wouldn't achieve the perfect shine that made it famous. The soft nature of bog oak made it easy to work with, but precisely because of this, it required great care in working out fine details. Working with obsidian was the riskiest. One wrong move and the whole work was lost. But those masters who learned to handle this volcanic glass created jewellery that had an almost hypnotic effect on the viewer. The materials of Victorian mourning jewellery not only tell us about the past, but also engage in dialogue with the present. Today, when we encounter these jewels in an antique shop or in a collector's hands, they invite us on a special journey through time. Every crack, every sign of wear, every refraction of light is a story. It's worth observing how each material has withstood the test of time. Jet, if properly cared for, remained practically unchanged. Pieces from 100 to 150 years ago still sparkle today as they did on the day they were made. Bog oak, due to its natural nature, often shows small changes. Its color may darken, its texture may subtly change. Gutta-percha, as the first plastic, often shows the passage of time. Cracks and color changes tell tales of centuries, but it is precisely these flaws that make these pieces personal and touching. Every sign of wear is part of a human life. Ebonite withstands time better than gutta-percha. Its shine remains, its color is stable, but the marks of the former wearer's fingers, the friction of clothing, all remained in the material. These traces tell the story not only of the object, but also of the human life connected to it. When we buy or inherit Victorian mourning jewellery today, we don't just receive an object, we take on the emotional legacy of an entire era. These jewels outlived their wearers, families, often entire dynasties. Now it's our turn to carry on their story. The black materials of Victorian mourning jewellery no longer serve mourning today. Rather, they express respect for the past, the search for beauty, and a deeper understanding of history. When we wear jet or bog oak jewellery, we become part of a tradition that showed emotions can be expressed not only in words, but also in materials, forms, and colours. These special materials each carried a different message in the Victorian era. Jet represented luxury and deep mourning. Bog oak, national pride and connection to nature. Gutta-percha, practicality and democratic beauty. Obsidian, rarity and exoticism. Ebonite, modern technology and reliability, and onyx, eternity and classic elegance. Today, when we examine a piece of Victorian mourning jewellery, we are, in fact, archaeologists. Every material, every mark of craftsmanship, every stylistic feature is a puzzle piece of that big picture that shows the inner world, social conditions, and technological possibilities of 19th century people. That's why it's so important to learn to recognize these materials, not because we want to be experts, but because every correct identification is the discovery of a story. Behind a jet brooch is the coast of Whitby and the Queen's Mourning. Behind a bog oak pendant are the bogs of Ireland and the awakening of national consciousness. Behind a gutta-percha piece of jewellery is the Industrial Revolution and the rise of the middle class. The black materials of Victorian mourning jewellery thus became timeless expressions of human emotions. Each material is a chapter in human history, an answer to that eternal question. How can we preserve and express our deepest emotions so that they outlive us and carry a message to future generations? Next time you encounter a piece of Victorian mourning jewellery, remember this story. Look at the material, touch it, observe the play of light on its surface. Every black sparkle is a guardian of someone's love, grief, and hope. These small black treasures are the greatest secrets of the human heart, that love is stronger than death, and that beauty finds its way even in the deepest sorrow. If you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for being here.